Hi everyone. Today I have a guest from United States, and I want to thank Dr. Rebecca Chen very much for accepting my invitation. I want to introduce Rebecca Chen to you. Rebecca is the founder of Ilkmade Sessions, a career mentoring service and an online blog dedicated to the field of international relations and development. She has a PhD in political science from Berkeley and has worked as a researcher and a professor of comparative and European politics. So, Rebecca, thank you again. As I have a very
Sure.
limited time, I first of all I want to thank you very much. And uh, I think around 2 years ago, I also had the opportunity to know Ilkmate platform. I think it was a little bit different from its current
Yes.
current identity. So could you please tell me what is Ilkmate? Why did you establish such a platform? This is my first question. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you so much, Begum, for inviting me. And it's a pleasure to catch up with you after years of connecting and working together. I started Ilkmade around 4 to 5 years ago after I decided to leave academia. For me, I was a professor, like you said, of political science, and I was also a researcher. And I had always wanted to do something on my own, entrepreneurially in the private sector. And as trying to be doing too many things at once is really difficult, especially leaving academia was a difficult decision. Ilkmade first started, like you said, as a web platform, very different from what people might be seeing today, which is focused on mentorship for people in the field of international relations. The original identity of Ilkmade was really a web platform that allowed early career researchers to share news and articles that they found interesting and to comment. It was my aim to be able to allow folks to network around the world and have more meaningful conversations around news and articles. I think we were all kind of getting a little bit tired of the short kind of tweets and maybe Facebook that didn't allow for lots of different people in the same type of group to really meet each other. And so ilk really is that kind of group and meeting and community, and Ilkmade is kind of made by folks of the same community. What quickly happened, and that's where Begum, that's where you came in, was you were a founding member and you helped establish, along with a network of other folks from around the world, you helped establish kind of the content, the early content on the platform, and to get conversation flowing. But what we saw sort of here on the back end was that more of the conversation that really caught people's attention was around career trajectories and where to find good sort of positions, and that led us to focus more on the
Mentoring.
kind of on the career side of things, and maybe even job lists. And so when I finished sort of Ilkmade, the original form, and established Ilkmade Sessions, it took some time then to transfer over the sort of network that we built, and then also build up an online publication or a blog, which we have alongside the mentoring, which is the classifieds. And that just helps kind of us to be able to share what we think is, or what I think is really important in terms of the conversations around especially now during post-pandemic or current pandemic, what are the types of jobs that people are searching for these days, like remote work, and things like that. And so that's my focus right now, is on mentorship, which has been the last 2 years, helping people all from different stages of the career figure out what jobs are like in the field.
Yes. So you at the moment, so Ilkmade Sessions is different from Ilkmade, right? So when we click
Yes.
on www.ilkmade.com,
you're on Sessions.
we are on Sessions, and all do any kind of graduates can look for job opportunities, like a career website, or only political science graduates, or what kind of students or graduates can benefit from your platform?
Yeah, typically we're focused on the field of international relations, which is pretty big, as you know. So it
Yes.
involves, folks interested in development, in economy, and political science. The reason why I'm focusing on that field is because, unlike finance or management consulting, there isn't really a mentorship kind of opportunity that's built into our weird, field of IR. And so I wanted to be able to establish that for folks who are at, like I said, all stages of their career. So bachelor students, we have folks thinking about getting a master's, people finishing a master's in international affairs, people in their PhD kind of thinking about leaving or academia, or wanting to find other opportunities alongside academia. So it's a range of different things. What I do is help with everything from editing their CVs with them to writing their letters of motivation to a graduate school, and also helping folks who studied political science and was working for 10 or 15 years or 20 years outside the field and now want to get back in. And so what do they need to do? What are the strategies they can be doing now to shape their professional narratives in order to obtain a role in our field. So it's a whole range of things, but it really is dependent on the person and what they need. And sometimes it's one session I have, and sometimes, for the most part, a lot of folks sign up for roughly 3 sessions with me, and they take it once a week, and we meet just like we're doing now, like on Zoom, or and we talk about what they need. And so yeah, it's been different and difficult, especially during the pandemic, because I think a lot of
Yes.
people have different focuses and priority during that time. Now I'm seeing more folks kind of, for instance, looking to get back into school, maybe getting a new degree. And so I've been helping a lot of different people try to think about whether a master's of international relations is right for them, or maybe it's international business, or maybe it's something else. So that's been what I've been focusing on.
Yeah, thank you. So it's also very enlightening for me, because I was not very informed about this, because lately I have been away from the platform. But also
Yeah.
you have a LinkedIn group, and it's from time to time I'm not interacting very much, but from time to time I try to follow. By the way, I would like to know what you think about how the coronavirus pandemic has changed the structure of job hunt process, and how
Mm.
the higher education has changed during the pandemic. We know that the distance learning has got a new popularity during the pandemic. Also, I am asking this in the global context, but also in the place that you are living. For example, in the
Yeah.
United States, also, could you please compare it with the other regions? How
Yeah,
did pandemic change?
definitely. Yeah, I'll focus maybe more on the education part of things. Since I stepped away from academia, but most of my network, most of my former colleagues are professors. So I hear a lot about, I have conversations with them about remote teaching. And, during the pandemic, my heart goes out to people who are, going to university during this time, and also for professors who really are forced to learn how to teach and provide information and material online. I think there was a necessity for it, but it was very chaotic. And I think right now we're seeing a little bit more people are just used to it, right? Like learning and discussing and having these big sort of formative moments of their lives being conducted on a computer screen. So the online tools that were initially, available now, I think are better. But I think a lot of people are, like I said, trying to get back to sort of normal in-person teaching. So in the United States currently, things are getting better. So, universities, now it's summertime, but, education was in person, face-to-face, for a lot of institutions towards the end of the springtime. And now, or either a hybrid in person and also online. um, and the only thing that I think is really kind of a negative component of all of this is kind of the other development, the personal and professional development that you get as a student when you're on campus, right? Work, in person, and the conversations that you're having with other students about what their, internship and job opportunities are. And you just learn so much from random conversations. So, regionally, from what I hear around the world and Asia, a lot of that was also put on hold. A lot of it was conducted remotely. And the same thing, people are doing their conferences online. And I know for a fact that it's that these conferences, these big, political science, international relations association conferences, they're still being conducted online through the fall, right? And so, that's something that I think a lot of folks who are job searching really need to consider, is how they present themselves online. What's their portfolio like? And so as far as the job search goes, there was a moment where, of course, everyone is, really confused, and really, it was really hectic, and I think emotionally draining to understand where you want to be in life when the world is shut down. And so it's in our field, especially, and I know for you and I, we both want to take opportunities where we find it. And so we found ourselves locked in our own homes, right? And so a lot of folks that were reaching out to me saying, how do I find a job or opportunity abroad? I would have to say, well, give it a year, give it 6 months before your country even allows you to go there, right? And so the change in how we define as international really had to change. So I was kind of advising folks to look for international opportunities at home, maybe volunteering or finding other freelance sort of remote consulting jobs, or doing what you're doing, right? Like kind of, reaching out to folks and interviewing them, building your portfolio.
Yes, here you said interview, and I was going to ask you this. So, do you think as a career mentor, I think I'm saying it right? Career
mentor. Yep.
Mentor, yes. Do you think that the face-to-face interviews are better, or the online interviews? Because some people feel really nervous or anxious while making face-to-face job interviews. Can we see this as a chance or opportunity for young graduates? Zoom interviews, maybe?
There's something actually very comforting about being able to do an interview online, because it's you're feeling in your own space, and you can kind of control the environment a bit better. So I do think that this is something that most people, and now that we're, everything is conversationally, even with friends and family, for a lot of times online, where we're now getting used to it. For younger folks, I think they're just used to being online, so it's nothing different for them, using web sort of, or phone chatting or video chatting is very easy. So I think there is a benefit to interviewing online and practicing sort of the types of ways you would conduct a conversation. I mean, in person for sure, though, that's something that people really then need to, I think, learn how to retrain themselves to walk into a room and and actually have random conversation and make small talk. I think that's something that for all of us, no matter what age we are, it's going to be a challenge, because we're just we're so isolated these days. But
yeah. As my last question, so maybe we have around 5 or 6 minutes. We that we live in the age of technology, and so almost everyone has more than one social media profile. As a mentor, what kind of role do you think does social media platforms or social media profiles play in the job hunt process? For example, if I am never visible on social media, would it be a good thing? If I'm a new graduate, should I open a Facebook account and promote myself? Or what kind of things can I do through social media to promote myself in job hunts?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Well, first of all, I think it's really in international relations, and if you're, a new graduate, it's really important to have sort of a professional profile established for yourself. And I think, I think a lot of employers and a lot of folks use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is something that I promote, not for LinkedIn, but that's how you and I met. That's how I met a lot of folks on the former Ilkmade and current experts for Ilkmade Sessions using LinkedIn. I've never met them in person. And so there's something to be said about, trying to then sort of hone your, like I say, professional profile and narrative online. So for sure, LinkedIn is, the first place that I say to create a profile and start kind of looking at different groups or start connecting with those who have similar interests as you. Like you mentioned, we created Ilkmade Sessions. We created a careers group on LinkedIn, and now I think there's over 1,000 people on it. And the main aim there was for folks to be able to provide kind of or share the blogs that they've written, or the podcasts or the YouTube videos. It's just become aware of other people like-minded and sort of in the same career trajectory as yourself. So I do think it's really important to have a professional profile and to make it transparent, not to have sort of an alias, right? Not to put like a random sort of name, but to really feature yourself and say, these are the issues that I care about. This is the type of, these are the organizations, or this is something that I want to write and think about. And all that is going to be helpful for, I think, people to be able to build their network in different parts of the world, build their network in different issue areas that you might not know about. And that helps with the job search. The job search is so much more than looking for listings and just sending your CV or your resume and a letter. I always say that it's about sort of doing the work behind the scenes and meeting and talking to strangers who are working in those fields. And so that's something, using LinkedIn, being able to message people saying, do you have a couple of minutes of your, next week so that we can have a conversation? I'm really interested in what your company or organization does. I think these are the things that I tell people to do, is to really use social media, but for a strategic way, and not to, I think, look lightly on it, because it is something in our field that is important. People want to know what you think and what you have to say, and right. And I think ultimately how you communicate, how you research, how you write, they're all going to help you with, promoting your own sort of next steps, right? Your own job.
Yes. Also, in addition to LinkedIn, for example, when I Google a scholar, I get sometimes surprised because I saw in the first Google rank, I saw her or his Twitter profile. So this is when in the Google search engine.
Yeah.
So I think Twitter is also important, right?
Definitely. I didn't mention Twitter as well, because Twitter, there's a barrier of learning how to use Twitter. I think it's much more of the moment. And so if you use Twitter, I think for sure, like I say, yes, get a Twitter account. And the more you share the things that you're working on, whether it's, an article or a review or, an interview, have many platforms where you can share it on, but make it sort of make your audience more strategic to the focus of your field of interests, of your areas of expertise. I don't think it's that useful to share it on sort of your Facebook, unless it's a Facebook group that that you join, because it's the audience, right? And so I think, Twitter, right? I didn't mention Twitter as much because I think people, who tend to go on it, get turned off by how sort of difficult it is to understand how to find the right conversations to plug into. But I do think you're right. People who are on it a lot, they're the ones you see the search engine rankings pretty high of, and it just establishes you as a credible, valid sort of thinker, analyst in your field. And so I think that also everything adds up to that professional profile that I was talking about, that you want to have that online presence, especially if you're kind of early and starting out, or even trying to come back into the field and you don't have a lot of actual job titles and job experience, but you do have, a lot of great content that you've published, then that's a place to put it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
You're
So it was a
welcome.
very insightful and it was a good experience for me. Finally, I don't know what would you recommend to the young people who are feeling a little bit desperate about finding a job, because during the pandemic also there has been economic crisis, I think, in global context. So how can they stay
Optimistic.
optimistic?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry for that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Like I said, I think maybe I'll echo what I said earlier about that job search being more than just looking for jobs. And, we get depressed when we don't hear back or we get rejections from applications, right? But I think, doing the work, meaning trying to meet people, trying to talk to people and gathering information about different organizations, universities, or and understanding how others are also dealing with their job search. Having these conversations helps, right? It feels less isolating, when we're job searching. It's a very lonely endeavor. And so I say to reach out and have more conversations, and the optimism will come, right? Because you're doing more work to do that. You're focusing more on, networking, meeting people, learning. And that's something that is a bit more rewarding than just putting out an application and not hearing back. And so I say there's more to be done in terms of the job search than just that. So hopefully that helps folks connect and learn more.
Thank you, Rebecca, very much. I appreciate your time, and you are very far from me, so there's a time gap. I think you have much things to do during the daytime.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I've been looking forward to catching up with you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So see you, I hope, in the upcoming time, maybe. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.